So spiritual isolation or isolation, period, I believe is good for all people. I especially believe it's good for you if you are, you know, a goal-minded person. Like, you got goals, you try to walk with intention, you want to improve your life, period. You need to get away from everybody, because the thing about life is life is about people, right? And it's about the people that you surround yourself with. And if you like anybody, the average person, you're not brought into a world where, the average person around you is in a good state of mind. One thing I realized with just being more hopeful and just always trying to chase a dream, that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm working hard because I want to make my dreams manifest into reality, right? A lot of people are living in a nightmare. They wake up, it's the same shit every day, which only causes more anger, jealousy, frustration, envy. And it's just that type of energy you don't need to be around, because all that does is just drag you down lower and lower, and it keeps you in like a negative like state of mind. It really does. Like, and I'm glad that, I guess unconsciously, I'm so like I'm so to myself. Like I said, people be trying to say I be trying to oral farm and be mysterious. No, this is how I was raised. My whole family this way. We all just stick to ourselves, and like, even though shit be going on outside, like, I would rather be by myself at home chilling. Like, that's how we just are, period. But so in a many way, like, I'm very unconsciously, I'm always kind of protecting myself and not wanting to be too, around people too much, because you just start to pick up habits. You pick up habits from people, right? For example, like my coworkers. I love them to death. I started drinking, like I said, I started drinking just, for social shit. And I'm not saying I'm alcoholic by any means, but, I like being around them, so I started to pick up drinking a little bit more. And me personally, it was a day in my life where I was like, damn, I would never drink, and I ended up drinking. And that's just because of the people that I associate myself with on a daily basis. So, like I said, when you're around the outside world, you can't help but to pick up the habits, especially if you're not strong enough to be able to, shield them off and block yourself from, feeling those urges, right? So that's one reason why you should isolate. It's just you got to realize that we are all sponges. No matter how old you are, they say babies are sponges. No, people are sponges, right? You are constantly consuming. You consume everything. You consume words. You consume energy, body language. You really consume everything that the outside world is showing to you, right? It may not have no effect on you right now at this moment, but eventually it does. And when you're trying to grow, and you constantly being bombarded with just negative messages and just energy, you tend to absorb it, and it starts to come out in one way or another. So that's why you must separate yourself from the outside world, just to really get to the inside of your mind to figure out what do you really want, what is really going on inside of it, what's going on inside your own heart, being unaffected by the outside world. Like, what is it baseline? Like, what is it in its purest form, not being influenced by anybody? And another reason why I end up isolating from people is that people have these certain perceptions of you. Like, people expect you to be a certain way. Like, people expect you to act a certain way. And if you deviate from that, it's almost like it's an attack on them. Like, and it's crazy. Like, me personally, like, I smile a lot. Let's say another example at work, right? I smile a lot. I'm just a good mood person. I'm usually in a good mood. When I'm not laughing or joking or something, I'm just stoic and like I'm in a neutral way. They always think it's something wrong, right? And the thing about it is, that's my normal. I'm a neutral person. I'm just like stoic. I just walk around like, looking like something's wrong. Not looking like something's wrong, but I'm usually just straight faced, like, But when I'm around people I care about, I'm usually like in an upbeat mood. I'm usually laughing. I'm usually joking, saying the dumbest shit that come to my mind. Some of the most ignorant shit that come to my mind, I'm usually just blurting it out, right? But when I'm not like that, it's always something wrong. I can't just be quiet. I can't be stressed. And then on top, and then when people ask you, like, are you upset at something? And they keep asking you, that shit just makes you upset. That's kind of what be happening a lot. And I be understanding, they don't be meaning by it, but that's just how it is. That's how it comes across to me, right? But that's the perception I'm talking about. They have this idea of me that I have to be this certain way. And to a certain extent, it is like a suppressor to act a certain way, because that's how they know you to be. And I think human nature, we don't want to be rejected. So at times we fold to that perception. It's been times in school where I felt that way, where, and I lost friendships and people I was cool with because of that, because I felt that they expected me to be a certain way. And I wasn't going to be that certain way, right? I had grown to understand myself and have more self-respect that I didn't want to act a certain way around people. And if I did, I'd lose all type of love and self-respect. So, you know, I'd much rather just, you know, cut myself off from the world and not have to be, have to act a certain way for people to accept me. Or I should be able to be myself freely and not, you know, I shouldn't have to hide myself. I don't believe anybody should have to hide themselves from who, they really care about. So the isolation will help you really understand yourself on a deeper level and get away from just a toxic nature of just people and how people really are like restrictive. Like some people don't know how to allow people to exist in who they are. They always want to control people because maybe it's their own insecurity within themselves that they can't be themselves freely because, somebody shut them down. So the type of person I am, I just like to take the control out of everybody hand. And I'm like, and just remove myself. So, and I guess that's kind of how I've been operating all my life, since I really been an adult, really. But yeah, isolation will help make things a lot clearer. It'll give you a lot of clarity about who really care about you and who don't. Give you a lot of clarity about your own path and what you're supposed to be going through. And like I said, when you got that clarity, if I'm being honest, clarity is probably one of the most like relieving things to have. Like when you know something, when you know you're supposed to be doing something, it takes away a lot of the pressure. Not saying the pressure just goes away, but it takes away a lot of the pressure of making a decision because you already know what you're supposed to be doing. All it really takes is just the actions to be put behind the words. So yeah, bathe in that isolation. Don't become too addicted to it. That's one thing I can say. I love isolation so much. Like I have to force myself to be social because sometimes my isolation do get bad, even though I love the isolation. But, it'll turn you crazy if you're not conscious of it and you're not aware of how far you're taking, just being by yourself. So just be wary of that. So if y'all like the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all later. Thank you.